me if I screw up.
No worries. Oh, okay.
April 18th, Apex Environmental Advisory Board meeting to order. So welcome everybody in person and online, and welcome to our newest member, Njeri, first meeting. So welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So the first item on our agenda is approval of minutes. The February 2024 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
All right.
I'll
Bill,
second.
John seconds. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining?
Abstaining.
Okay. One abstention. Okay. The March 2024 meeting minutes, which are not really minutes, just a statement that the meeting was canceled. Is there a motion to approve those?
I'll make it.
All right, Jason? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Adam, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining?
Abstain.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have announcements. First up is Jessica.
Hello. Suzanne, as you'd requested, just a little information on what you saw as some proposed UDO amendments regarding the Neuse rules. So basically, Apex has become a named community in the Neuse Basin, and we need to start implementing the Neuse rules, which is basically just tracking nitrogen removal from new development with all the SCMs that we have. It basically already does all that, but it's just a tracking and an accounting tool all the developers are going to have to use, and we're going to do an annual report to the state. It becomes effective, if passed by council. It goes to council next week. It was approved by planning board last week. It would be effective July 1 of this year.
Okay.
So that's essentially what those amendments
So it's
mean.
like mostly like BMPs, and it's not anything related to buffers or anything like we usually touch on here.
Correct.
Okay, great, perfect. Anything from planning?
Not tonight.
Okay. Oh, I have one thing for planning. Apex Peak Keepers Facebook post about,
Yes.
I believe you conveyed that was going to be passed along. Do you have any information on that for us that you can share?
Just that at the moment, planning does not have the staff to be able to do a ton of work on that at the moment. We are hoping to get some additional staff members to work on that, hopefully, if the town council agrees to those items in the budget. But at the moment, we don't have, the Peak Keepers petition was to request that the town do more work with the tree survey that Wake County did earlier this year and try to work on preserving more of our trees. There's a little bit of information that they put in their petition that's slightly taken out of context. One of the reasons why why Apex looks, according to that study, as if we have lost a ton more tree canopy than anybody else is because a lot of the other municipalities in Wake County actually developed much earlier than we did, particularly Raleigh and Cary. Cary honestly doesn't have that much undeveloped land left, which means that all of their tree canopy loss happened about 15 or 20 years ago. As you guys know, Apex is developing insanely rapidly and has been for about a decade now. I'm not saying that we aren't losing canopy. I'm just saying that things are slightly out of context if you just look at the total numbers by themselves. We do plan on doing some work with that, but we just legitimately haven't had time yet. There's some conversations happening at staff level, but nothing that I'm ready to bring to the board yet.
Has the petition been filed with the council, or?
I'm honestly not certain. I know that I've seen it, and we did forward it up the chain to administration. I don't know where it's gone since then, though.
If possible, could you keep the board in the
Will do
loop
so.
about, just out of curiosity?
Will do.
All right, thank
As soon
you.
as I have information for you guys, I'll let you know.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so the next item is rezoning the towns at Parkside.
the applicant is here. I do have some of the sheets, however, from their application up real quick, and just to give you a quick idea, the two pieces that you see highlighted in yellow are being proposed for rezoning. There's another piece that is already zoned, and it is right here. As soon as there you go. This is a part of the Parkside PUD zoning case, and Parkside was something that was rezoned 2014, I want to say. And this is just the last piece of that. So in order to build their development, they are asking to rezone this piece to the west and a portion of this piece to the north that connects over here. It's because they'll be extending Kinship Lane over and then connecting a road, building a road up through here. I'll let the engineer or applicant talk more, however, and they're here to answer any questions you might have.
I'm Mitch Craig with City Group. How are y'all today? Good. Just like Shelley said, there's two pieces of land that we're trying to rezone. The one that she was talking about in the middle was actually part of Bella Casa, and it was rezoned in 2014. So that's not part of this discussion. Not a whole lot of the details have been worked out for either of these two pieces, but they would be similar to what we're developing in the Bella Casa piece. But if you have any questions, we're here to answer them.
The whole development will be contiguous at this, with these pieces involved too?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
How many units?
Don't know yet.
I think you show 59.
Well,
That's just preliminary.
that is preliminary, and it wouldn't be 59 on these two pieces. If it said 59 somewhere, it meant overall, but
So the board did receive your entire zoning application. So I think if I recall correctly, you did provide a sketch plan at your neighborhood meeting, and that's probably where the number 59 is coming.
okay, yeah, so really it's just the middle piece is 42, so it would be 17 in these next two pieces, but we don't even know what those look like yet.
Okay, so with regard to the square piece, the western, I guess the westernmost piece, so that's 2.9 acres, correct?
Correct.
And do you know how many units would be going on that? Okay, and
12,
I'm sorry,
12, 14, it's not very.
would they be townhomes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and approximately how much of that parcel would you be clearing and grading?
It's about 80% of it,
Okay,
75% of it.
okay, and it looks like it's got mature forest on it. It's at the very edge of the floodplain of the stream, and it looks like of the floodplain of Beaver Creek. And then it looks like you've got a stream sort of cutting the northwest corner of it. So have you had your stream determinations done
Yes, ma'am.
by your consultant, and has the town confirmed those?
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah.
And are they, how many, is that a perennial or intermittent stream?
That's a 50-foot buffer. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
That 50-foot buffer is correct.
So it's an intermittent stream?
Correct.
Okay. And have you had your wetlands delineated?
There are no wetlands.
Okay. All right, and being that it's mature forest, could you talk about how you're planning on offsetting the loss of all that tree canopy?
Well, I mean, I think what we're planning on doing is keeping a lot of RCA areas on this site.
Okay,
And, I mean, not offsetting anything probably, but there will be a lot of offset. There's 24% of the site is RCA that won't be touched.
but the other 76% would be cleared.
Correct.
And it looks like it slopes a fair bit from the northeast down to the southwest. Do you anticipate having to put in any retaining walls or
I hope not.
pretty
Not
heavily?
on this piece.
Okay.
May I ask, does 24% meet the UDO requirement for something that is basically mass rated?
It does not at this point. This area would require at least 25% RCA. However, this is a slightly unusual situation where we have an existing PUD that has already met most of its RCA requirement that will be making up a portion of the site. Just to give you an idea, this entire central section right here is an existing PUD. That's that existing Parkside or Bellicasa piece. And then you have a section to the
Can I
north.
interrupt you? I can't see the cursor.
Oh, my apologies. One second. Let's see if I can change my cursor type.
Slow too.
Let's see if I can change this thing. Is that better?
The hand.
Slightly.
I know. It's
Some of us have
not
old
great
eyes,
on here. It's not a fantastic thing. Mitch, could you do me a favor and click that top right box to make it full screen? All the way, yep, up right there. Oh, shoot. Never mind. I thought it would do that. Nope, you're good. Don't worry.
If you click the black box, it'll probably go full screen.
I can see his cursor.
You see mine?
Yeah.
There you
Yours
go.
is really
Right
good.
here, what you're talking about, right, Shelley?
Yep. So that piece is an existing, an old PUD from 2014 that had a much lower a much lower requirement at the time, and has basically met all of its RCA. I don't mean much lower, but it did have a lower section. And then the two pieces that are actually up for rezoning right now are to the west. So with the cul-de-sac that juts out like a pipe, and then the piece that's on the and then the piece that's on the corner on the north. And those are the only two pieces that are up for rezoning right now.
And
But
both of these,
Also keep in mind, just real quick, this layout is subject to change. So this is just a sketch plan to try to figure out what their lot max would be. But yes, ma'am.
Fair enough on the sketch. But despite the 2014 piece, these two pieces need to meet the current RCA requirement.
The entire subdivision needs to meet 25%.
Fair enough.
It is not necessarily a requirement that it be met solely on these two pieces, but when the subdivision comes in, it has to meet 25%.
You had
So-
said the 2014 piece had a lower requirement, so it doesn't seem likely that that piece would supplement the other two.
Well, there's actually more to that piece than what's shown right now. If you don't mind me pulling
Okay.
up the map real quick. One thing that wrong program. There is a lot so you see where I'm gonna highlight this, and all of this stuff that's down here in the blue. Let me zoom in a little bit, see what I can do to make this bigger for you guys. So this highlighted parcel right here is all that was not supposed to happen. There we go. This highlighted parcel is, to the best of my knowledge, part of the entire project. Is that right, Mitch?
correct.
Okay. Then all of this stuff that's in this dark blue hatching and solid color is floodplain. They can't build on it anyway, so that can all be dedicated as RCA.
That and all the perimeter buffers and everything that are associated with that.
Thank you. So, unfortunately, this particular program won't let me pull out everything else, but what they showed you on the layout was just this piece here in blue. And unfortunately, this pop-up thing keeps getting in my way. This piece here, also highlighted, and then a portion of this piece, basically out to here.
So when we add those up, does it get to over 25%?
It will be at 25 or higher.
Yeah, it'll be over 25 at that point.
So sorry for making that more of a complicated answer than it really probably had to be. I just wanted to make sure it was clear that the two pieces you're looking at won't meet it entirely on their own.
One of the things you've agreed to is to preserve existing trees. Don't have a percentage listed for what you intend to preserve of the existing tree canopy. I'm not sure. Do you have an estimate for that?
Well, I would say it'd be mostly in those RCA areas, in the buffer areas, stuff like that. So 24%, 25%.
You're calling, may I ask a question? You're calling out for a bee buffer along the eastern side, which abuts to Holland's Crossing, as a method of trying to replant, or at least put something in. I would recommend that you do that in a buffer. We're looking at 3-story high buildings looking back down into the backyards of Holland Crossing, and that's just not really good. In fact, I think an A buffer wherever possible around this thing to increase the density of the trees. That's what I would recommend.
So are you officially adding that as a recommended zoning condition? Type A as a recommended zoning condition?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Can we go through the ones, please, that they checked off on what they submitted? Because I think there were some blank spaces on there.
There were. Let me enlarge this a bit more.
Real quick, going back to what you were just talking about there, the where you showed the proposed 20-foot type B buffer. I don't have the existing conditions where you can see the existing trees or whatever. Do you know, is that cleared through there, like the open field to the west of that road, or is it?
It's pretty wooded. All the RCA buffers are wooded. Or landscape buffers, all of them are wooded.
So could those be actually preserved? So instead of, you
So I'm
know,
saying a non-disturbed
yeah,
20-foot buffer, stay a type B 20-foot buffer, but you enhance that existing buffer where you're not clearing into the buffer and then replanting. Because if you have, there's, unless your grades don't allow it to.
No, that per the town of Apex rules, you have to leave those undisturbed if they have existing trees on them. So they would be undisturbed.
so if they're undisturbed, so they're in a natural state, then that may not just by nature meet an opacity of a type, of a certain type, or how does that work?
So that's completely true. The UDO has two separate requirements for buffers, an opacity and then also a requirement that any existing vegetation that meets certain criteria is preserved in its current state. That criteria is, I think, 1.5 inches caliper for trees and a smaller size, I think, for shrubs. But so most things that are in an existing buffer, if it doesn't meet the opacity requirement and A is fully opaque from the ground to 6 feet up, and B is opaque with no wider than 10-foot sections that you can see through. So what normally happens with an existing, with a buffer that's got existing vegetation in it is, in order to meet that bee buffer standard, they have to supplement with evergreen shrubs or small trees. So we typically recommend things like sweet bay magnolias, some of the smaller teddy bear magnolias, depending on the topography and the soil and everything, wax myrtles, inkberry hollies, those kinds of things. So that way it still gets that evergreen layer at the lower levels, but you're not damaging the existing trees for the most part.
So you're going in and planting among the existing trees,
We're
so,
planting among them, but it has to be done by hand. It can't be done with machines.
Okay.
The only exception to that is if you take a very, very small machine and you basically have all of the weight-bearing portions of it outside of the buffer, and it literally goes in and scoops just enough dirt out to put the tree back in.
okay.
Like, they're not allowed to put any heavy machinery in the buffer at all.
Which sometimes, and I'll just speak from experience with this right here, if you have an existing, obviously your existing buffer, and you have, whatever the plant material calls out, sometimes, you have understory that, it'll be taken over by what's existing there. Also, if it's thicker vegetation that's existing in the buffer, you go in there and try to plant something, you're actually disturbing sometimes more than what's there and to put that tree in. So again, like I said, it's a lot of that's a field determination with the zoning compliance officer as well.
Is there some type of performance guarantee on the new plantings? Like somebody checking on them to make sure they get established for a period of time?
The developer has to carry it through a 1-year warranty or through the
Just
period.
in 1 year?
Right. Well, it's the warranty period through a 75 or 80%. So it may be. A lot of times it's longer than 1 year. So
There's actually so the developer has a 1-year replacement requirement on that, but in addition, the HOA has to maintain it in perpetuity to meet that buffer requirement. So even if the developer turns it over at the end of a year and the plants, if everything dies 4 years down the line after the HOA takes it over, then if somebody on town staff is called out about it, or if we notice it driving by, then the HOA has to replace everything that was originally planted in that area, because there's a maintenance and something guarantee in the UDO.
And how many homes would be part of this HOA?
Let's see, I'm 59. I think is what we came up with. I don't know.
So it's pretty small.
Yeah.
Is the HOA gonna be part of the whole development or just this particular?
I think you guys were setting up a separate HOA, correct?
I think all 3 pieces will be part of one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but separate from Bella Casa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a sub-association to the Bella Casa
It would not.
HOA.
So, Mr. Jensen, what do you think? Still type A? Existing trees
I'll bring it
planted
up
up?
to type A.
Move it up to type A, okay. So keep it,
I've looked at type Bs and
Yeah.
they're not very opaque sometimes.
right, okay, so keep existing and bump it up, improve it to type A is the recommendation. Okay, what else do we have? So,
May I lean in on the solar aspect?
let's get to it as we get down
Okay,
to
I'm
the
sorry.
bottom, sure.
I thought everybody was done. It was
No,
silent.
we're,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
so 50 some unit, okay, so let's see, 1 sign per SEM, okay.
The next one is the minimum percentage of canopy. And for some reason, it's not letting me type in here. I will be fixing that. The applicant said that
So-
25%.
So, one thing I did notice on these applications that come through is every single one of them has question 5, that the design minimizes environmental impact. And to me, because this is a special rezoning, that seems to indicate that you're doing something above and beyond just what you're regulatorily required to do. So with that in mind, 24%, might get you to the minimum for the whole development, but on this particular lot, especially that western one, the 2.9 acre one, I would recommend 30%.
Okay. The next one is the minimum, the percentage of native species. Again, this one has a blank in front of it. I think since I'm having trouble typing in this, that the applicant was probably also having trouble typing in this. You guys have a minimal percentage of native species you wanna,
Yes, 25% probably, because the problem is you don't know what's gonna be available at the time you go to plant this stuff. I mean,
I do just wanna let you know that typically we've seen a minimum of 50%.
50 then, that's fine. I mean,
So,
From the word, 50%?
I would say that's the minimum.
Minimum, okay, minimum of 50%.
it's hard to commit to a number for that. You just never know what's gonna be available.
That is true, but like, there will be a variety of plants during the appropriate time of year for planting, right? I mean, it may not be the ones that you exactly choose, but there will be native plants available.
A substitution species.
Yeah, yeah.
one second.
So the next one would be 50 as well then.
Sorry about that. Looks like the next one is that the project shall install signage adjacent to wooded or natural condition RCA, indicating that the area is RCA and to be preserved in perpetuity. And then the one pet waste station per 25 residential units.
So that's just
They too.
two. Okay, now, solar, you're up.
Well, I was gonna attack some house numbers to this, but this is a mass graded development and certainly 3 stories, so I would recommend 20% of the homes have solar PV put on them. Those roofs are ideal for that, and the price of solar is down. It makes for about a 8% rate of return, which isn't bad, especially if you look at the stock market right now. So that's my recommendation. And I have a second one then that we don't have on our chart, and that is to install 220 outlets in all of the garages so that people can easily adapt their electric chargers. It's a very inexpensive thing to do.
Can we make a recommendation as far as where the stock is with it and the price of it right now? It's kind of irrelevant as to the recommend. We can make a recommendation for 20%, but based off the stock and the price of it right now is irrelevant, isn't it? Has nothing to
I can
do.
tell you price per watt, but it's,
I mean, what I'm saying is, we can make a recommendation to the applicant, but we can't say now based on the stock rate and the price of it as it is
No.
right now.
no, I'm not
But I-
saying that.
Well, you did, well, okay, I just want to make sure that,
I think the
You guys know what I'm
recommendation can
saying.
be justified based on the 3 stories and the mass grading, though.
correct, absolutely.
Mr.
I
Johnson?
was trying to promote it. I'm sorry.
Right, I just didn't want it to be perceived that we were
Yeah.
saying
right. Thank you.
based off the price today and the stock rate.
I'm sorry, I missed the size of the solar system.
20%, I'm sorry, I didn't say it, minimum 4 kilowatt. That's a fairly small system. And from what I've understood, that when we put 3 or 4 kilowatts on, they typically put 6 to 8 or 10 kilowatts on once they do it. So the minimum is just to say, you need to look at it. Did we want to go into charging stations in the common area? There's a small common area. I'm not sure that that's necessary, but
I think if people have them at their home.
that's kind of what I think.
Yeah,
If
this
friends
is-
come by, they can park there and
Yeah, you can
charge
car
if
rodeo
necessary.
and have people switch so they can have access to the
my
charger.
son got an EV and I got out of paying for his gas bill, but now I pay for his electric bill.
So I want to bring that up too. So we're actually putting one in now, and we are having a hard time with a card reader for them to be able to use it for a card reader to take the charge to use the EV charging station. So I think it's,
I don't understand the one I've been involved with, it just plugs it in and
Yours is at your home.
mine's at the home.
You want to
Yeah.
install a
You're
commercial one?
you're talking about in the common areas. What I was saying.
Yeah, I
If we do bring up common areas, just like I said, there's
There's an issue with.
issues right now with common charging stations where other people are having to pay for it outside of the
I
HOA.
understand, and I think we dropped it as a common area. There's only about 6 total slots common, and that would be for friends coming in, and like you said, they can charge at the garage. Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. The other thing I was wondering about, for the stormwater, is this, what year storm event does this have to?
What's required?
Yeah, what's required?
Just the one in the 10.
The 1 in the 10. Even though it's that close to the lake?
Yeah, that's, I mean, our rules right now are just a couple of basins, the Upper Beaver Creek and the upper northwest tributary to Williams Creek,
Okay,
require 25.
okay. I would like to recommend the 25, even though that's in the non-residential section, I would like to pull that up into this.
You know, and I agree, I think it should be in the residential section too, actually, for the 25. And the 25-year storm versus the 10-year storm, it's only a 20% increase in the pond size. It's not double or anything like that, so easy to do.
And this development is it Richardson Road that keeps flooding? Like every time it gets flashy? And I think this
There
is
a section of
upstream,
Richardson Road that's
upstream
low.
from that, so.
I think it's on DOT's list.
It's on DOT's list. Look, they just did the Apex Barbecue one, what, 3 years or so ago? You know,
But until that happens,
I think this project is downstream of that Richardson Road, correct?
your project
Downstream
is,
of your
yeah, your
street
project is
project's
upstream from it.
Richardson Road?
Yeah, pretty significantly.
Solid.
Yeah, it's only about a mile.
and I will say, if it doesn't work out, this is another one of those parcels that it being, you know, right at the edge of the floodplain, you've got a slope, you've got mature forest. It would be another great property to offload onto somebody who needs off-site RCA for preservation. I mean, the animals in the floodplain need somewhere to flee when it floods, and this is one of those. Any other questions or comments or suggestions? Okay, so we have the ones that were checked off and that we filled in, and then these additional recommendations. Is there a motion to approve them?
I will so move.
Okay, Katie, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Patrick, Patrick, second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, next we have new business. So first up, we have Earthfest. So Earthfest is this Saturday. I have not heard from folks. We still have a number of shifts to cover. And Jerry, did you get the email about this?
No.
Okay, I was sending it. Who
I don't
updates?
think that IT has set up in Jerry's email just yet, or at
Okay.
least not as of Monday.
Okay.
So,
So when it gets set up, you know how there's like, I think somebody has a list, like it's like the whole board. I see it in the email. Will her email address get?
yes, IT
So-
will update that.
Okay, perfect.
And I
Okay.
need to contact IT and get back on, mine got kicked out, but.
Oh, no, okay.
It was-
So you
yeah.
didn't get the email either? Okay, so let's back way up. So,
When you said sign up sheet, I went, oh, hang on a minute.
yeah, okay, we'll go all the way back.
I
Okay,
really
so.
didn't see a sign-up sheet, I just.
It was like,
request.
these are the time slots, let me know your opinion. So Earthfest is this Saturday, it is on campus here. And it is, the whole event is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. is when the breakdown starts, so 5 p.m. So from 10 to, I think, 11:45 is the setup. And then we have just 2 shifts that we need to cover. The first one is from 11:45 to 2, and then the other one is from 1:45 to 4. And then we have a setup shift, which there was a lot of interest in, and then a breakdown shift. And so this year's theme is the reduce, reuse, recycle, repair theme. And this is important because in the process of developing some talking points, I discovered that our landfill is going to be full in 15 to 20 years, which is hardly any time. And there doesn't seem to be a definitive solution as to what happens to our trash after that. So if we can get waste sort of properly diverted from just the landfill, either to recycling or composting or reusing or upcycling, then that extends the life and this won't become a dire issue for pretty much everybody in the community, really. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I am developing some talking points, which I'll send out. And I guess for Patrick and Jerry, if there's an alternate email address you're comfortable giving to me, I'll email them to that. So that's what we're doing. So with that, so I have Adam and John for setup, unless John would like a different shift. Okay, we can. Okay. And then for the first shift, which is 11:45 to 2, I only have Katie. So
I'll
it's-
take that too.
Okay, all right.
Nice.
And then I still need the 1:45 to 4 as empty. I'm gonna try and hang out the whole day because I think it's fun talking to people all day long. Can I get 1, 2 other folks that can do 1:45 to 4?
I'm already coaching soccer for Apex Parks and Rec right now, so I cannot.
Okay, can't do any the whole day?
My
Okay,
day is shot.
Uh-oh.
No, I'll do till 2. I can do till 2. It's this Saturday.
it's this Saturday,
God, it jumped right up.
yes.
Yeah, I can do till 2.
You
I
can do,
can't go
so,
over that.
okay, so 11:45 to 2. All right, so can any,
Hey, John, is there any chance you could stay through like half of the shift and then I could do half of mine and stay with Suzanne?
well, John's on setup unless he wants to change.
But do you feel like, could you do setup, John, and stay till 1? And then I'll do 1 to 4?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that possible?
yeah, I can settle one, yeah.
Okay, John,
Does that work?
okay,
Okay.
so John from setup to 1 p.m. and then Katie from, how long did you say, Katie?
I'll do 1 to 4.
Okay.
Does that work?
Perfect, yeah. And then we still have Bill at 11:45 to 2, and then I'll do 1:45 to 4. Okay, and I have Jason breaking down, and then I can help you break down too. Does that work? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no trouble. And so I met with Lindley and James over in Water Resources, and James said he was gonna bring our stuff from the storage unit over. So what we have to give away is, over there in storage, there was actually some of the herb grow kits left over. So I don't know if they'll grow, but we have them for people to try. There was still some seed fans over there. So those are coming over. We ended up, the subcommittee of Adam and Jason and I decided that we were gonna get some sunflower grow kits. These are just the big annual sunflowers. Not really a native species, but still fun, like encouraging kids to grow things, or adults even. We also did get some reusable silverware as well. So to keep things from flying off the table, people just kind of walking by and grabbing, we have the spin wheel game, which Adam has volunteered to illustrate, put little illustrations on it. And then I did find there's 4 like small garbage bins that have stickers on them that are like recycle, trash,
Compost and upcycle.
compost and upcycle. Yes, thank you. So I'll bring some items up and they will spin the wheel and they will have to choose the best place for those items. And then we can talk to them. I mean, technically all of it could be trash, you know, but that's not what we want. That's not what we want to encourage.
I was like, my wife had looked up through, I can't remember if it was through, I was gonna say Waste Industries, but it's GFI now. I can't remember if it was their Apex on what truly can be recycled now and what's, hey, what you thought was recyclable
It depends on the town.
2 years ago and now. So she actually printed it off and put it in our, where we recycle in the cabinet in the kitchen. And so we can, you know, see it right there. So I was like, hey, all right, I know this can go here. My daughter knows it can go there. So like I said, it may be beneficial. I can send it and maybe laminate it or whatever, and then have it there where people can see that too. So it's,
DEQ had some of those, so I pulled them down
Okay.
to print. And also, I was gonna do in a binder with a cover on it, a big QR code for the town's Waste Wizard. Because I mean, that I think is like the authoritative source, right, for what can
That's what
actually
they
go in.
recommend, yeah, that's what they recommend.
Yeah, so, right. So it's a balance, I think, between like, don't put things that aren't supposed to go in recycling, but we do want to like divert them if they can truly be diverted. So, yeah, that's the point I think that we have to get across. So Adam's going to illustrate, we're going to have the items, I do plan on having a key for, as far as I can tell, which bin the items were supposed to go in. Yeah, and I'll write it in pencil in case we need to make any. Like, if somebody calls us out. I believe that the Wake County landfill people may be having also a booth, so we can direct people over to them to perhaps get the question answered, what happens after the landfill gets full.
I've been involved with that a little bit. They're doing a study right now to go to waste to energy
Oh, wow.
and where to put it, and possibly put it down where the landfill is.
Oh, interesting.
And he even talked about digging out part of the landfill where they've already done it, pile it over, and then run the waste to energy facility on that material for a while.
Okay.
So they can get about a 80 megawatt
You can get
facility,
a lot of
which is
energy
pretty
out
good
of it.
size.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so,
It's certainly better than putting it in and letting it turn to methane and all that sort of stuff.
right, yeah, and it seemed from I guess it was a 2020 study, one of the options they were discussing is that trucking it to private landfills. There was like 5 private landfills within 100 miles, which I imagine that cost will come down on everybody.
The county commissioners have to decide that the tipping fee is going to have to triple
Wow,
to make the thing work.
wow,
And then once they triple it, private industry will come in and actually foot the bills. So it's a smart thing to try to do it as soon as possible. So you still have some landfill, because you're going to have to take that residue and put it someplace.
right, exactly. So yeah, this is a very like, you know, this is something that is going to be need to be addressed that will impact us all. So looks like the weather's gonna be great, so, or nice at least, not pouring down rain like last year, so dress accordingly. My understanding, there is a rain contingency plan, and I don't know where exactly it is, but we are in spot number 7.
So if you look at the Half Moon parking, it's, if you look kind of at the halfway point, if you're standing in front of it where it arches kind of away from you, it is to the right-hand side of that, just a little bit. So as you
So like closer to this building and
Closer to
farther
this
away
building.
from the community center.
Right.
So we're number 7.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the latest that I heard.
We're the We're the table.
Yeah, yeah, so I really appreciate James's help. And we put everything in a pile for him to just grab, so hopefully it'll go smoothly. And then I guess they'll also help us at the end to take it back. Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, now I understand.
Here.
And just a note on sunflowers,
Mm-hmm,
the Helianthus canum
mm-hmm.
is considered a native by the USDA of all the lower
Pretty
48
quickly,
states.
I think.
Interesting.
So
Okay,
if somebody goes, why aren't you giving away natives? We're like, it is.
yes, great, yeah.
Argue with USDA if you don't agree.
Okay, and hopefully people will have a lot of fun with them. I might take one and see how it does.
It was the only option that actually sprouts within less than 3 weeks.
Yeah,
So we kind of didn't want to pick the one that's going to take another 1.5 years to sprout again. I don't know about you guys, by the time that would have happened, I would have been looking at my counter going, what was that supposed to be again?
True.
So 7 days seemed more reasonable, especially when you're trying to encourage kids and
They've got good germination rate
The
generally.
children get very sad when they plant the things and they don't grow.
it's true.
Instant gratification, they need that too. Not wait 3 weeks.
I mean, I don't want to wait 3 weeks.
okay. So I didn't hear from Sean. I think, Shelley, he was in touch and asking about this. If you happen to hear or he doesn't
I haven't
respond
heard
to
anything
me.
from him yet, but
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, so he might be coming for a shift, but if not, we'll just go ahead with this plan. So is everybody clear? I will email this out about when they are supposed to be there, everybody who is attending.
Right.
Okay, I'll email out the talking points. And we're gonna have a great Peak Fest. Okay. So next discussion item is the resolution on Executive Order 305. So Executive Order 305 was related to, it had a component of it related to native plants. And the state, for their project, except for a few exceptional instances, is going to attempt to use all native plants, and they encourage local governments to do the same. So the draft was emailed out, you have it in front of you. Do y'all have any discussion items about this?
I will move to adopt.
All right, so Katie is moving to adopt the resolution of the Apex Environmental Advisory Board adopting the request to modify the Unified Development Ordinance. All right, all in favor?
Need a second.
A second, sorry,
Okay,
second.
okay.
All right, Jason seconds.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Is this implying like on government land, use native plants? Is that what it's saying?
It would apply to both private and government land.
Private and, okay. So we just did the tree and plant manual not too long ago and required all native and adaptive, right? So this is suggesting going beyond that to all native?
Mhm.
Yes.
There are some caveats in that policy. If you'd like, I can ask someone from administration to email that draft resolution out to you, Mr. Gant.
Okay,
So you can take a look at it.
thank you. I just want to clarify for myself and the others. Thanks.
Have you seen the resolution itself?
The
or
executive order from
The
the,
order? I have not.
The executive order,
I have not.
okay.
my apologies, that's what I meant. Not this draft resolution, but the executive order. I can have that emailed to you.
Okay, great.
Oh, or John has a copy.
I'll seconded it.
Seconded it, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution passes, thank you. Okay, does anybody else have any other discussion items that they would like to bring up this evening?
I have a brief one. I have propagated a whole bunch of azaleas, so if anybody wants them, they're in 1 gallon cans. They're not really 1 gallon plants because I just moved them out of the propagation zone, so.
Do you know
Talk to me
what
if you
kind
want
they
them. I've got a bunch, huh?
Are they a native one that you propagated, or?
They're native to probably Europe. No, I propagated whatever I could find,
Okay,
so I can't say that they're native here.
okay,
So
all right, thank you.
I was afraid that would come up. Thank you.
And one other nature tidbit that I learned today is that when you see bees around, only bumblebees have pollen balls on their legs. All the other things, bee-looking things that have just pollen spread all over their body, those are not bumblebees. Bumblebees have little pollen balls on their legs, which I thought was pretty neat.
And they're furry.
They are.
They're not slick. The slick ones are the ones that eat your house.
Yeah, but they're still a
The
native.
the carpenter bees, right?
The
carpenter
carpenter
bees,
bees,
yes.
yes, in this
They're
particular.
eggs. They don't eat your house. They just lay
Well,
eggs.
They build their
They drill a hole in your home and then.
They're trying to be home with you.
They're termite wannabes is what they are.
Wannabes.
One of these.
All right, well, if there is no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
John, second? Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Jason, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.